Have you ever noticed how people value something the moment it becomes rare? Think about it. The concert ticket you ignored for weeks suddenly becomes priceless the day it sells out. The person you didn't care about yesterday seems more desirable the moment they stop giving you attention. Even the glass of water, something you overlook every single day, feels like the most precious treasure if you are stranded in the desert. This is the silent force that rules our lives. Scarcity. Scarcity makes us chase. Scarcity makes us desperate. Scarcity makes us blind. And yet, those who understand it, those who know how to use it, can bend people's emotions, decisions, and even entire nations to their will. Machiavelli, the master of political strategy, knew this truth centuries ago. He understood that abundance weakens value, but scarcity multiplies it. He saw that when something or someone becomes too available, it loses its power. And when it becomes scarce, it gains almost divine weight in the human mind. Think about your own life. Why is it that the people who give you constant attention often feel less attractive, while the ones who withdraw seem to haunt your thoughts? Why does money feel heavier in your pocket when you barely have any, but almost meaningless when you're rich? Why do we chase what slips away, but ignore what sits right in front of us? The answer is simple. Scarcity is not just an economic principle, it is a psychological weapon. It's not about supply and demand in the marketplace. It's about supply and demand in the human heart. Machiavelli saw rulers, nobles, and generals rise and fall because they failed to master this one principle. He understood that power is not just about armies, wealth, or influence. It is about controlling perception. And nothing manipulates perception more ruthlessly than scarcity. Let me ask you, have you ever worked harder to impress someone who seemed out of reach? Have you ever ignored opportunities until they were gone only to regret them when it was too late? Have you ever realized that people only started respecting you when you stopped giving them unlimited access to your time and energy? That's scarcity at work. Scarcity is why emperors restricted access to their presence, making their rare appearances feel godlike. Scarcity is why luxury brands limit production, not because they can't make more, but because they know limited supply equals unlimited desire. Scarcity is why the rarest friendships, the ones that are not given freely to everyone, become the most treasured dot. And here's the dangerous part. Scarcity doesn't just manipulate others. It manipulates you. Your mind is wired to overvalue what you can't easily have. That's why people chase unavailable partners, overpriced products, and impossible dreams. The fear of missing out drives entire economies, entire wars, entire histories. Machiavelli warned rulers. A prince must know how to ration his presence. He meant that if you make yourself too available, people will no longer respect or fear you. If you speak too often, your words will lose weight. If you give too much, your generosity will be taken for granted. The dangerous power of scarcity is not in the thing itself, it's in how people perceive it. And perception is what creates control. Now pause for a second. Look at your own life. Are you giving too much of yourself away? Are you making yourself too available to people who don't value you? Are you weakening your own worth because you don't understand the silent power of scarcity? This is not just a lesson in history. This is not just Machiavelli whispering from the past. This is about you right now, in this very moment. Because the truth is this: if you don't control scarcity, scarcity will control you. In this video, we'll explore how Machiavelli understood scarcity, how rulers and leaders used it to build empires, how businesses use it to control consumers, and most importantly, how you can use it to regain control over your own value. So stay with me. Because once you understand the dangerous power of scarcity, you'll never see the world or yourself the same way again. Power loses its force the moment it becomes too common. The world doesn't respect the person who is always around. It uses him up, then throws him away. Machiavelli understood something cruel but real. What is common is worthless, and what is rare is feared. Gold is precious only because it is scarce. Power works the same way. Kings of the past didn't sit among the crowd every day. They appeared rarely, like a rare eclipse. People waited, wondered, and trembled when they finally saw them. The less you show, the more people imagine about you. And imagination is always more powerful, more dangerous than reality. Scarcity is not weakness. It is a weapon. When you limit how much of yourself people can access, you create hunger. When you step back, people chase you. When you control your presence, even your absence becomes powerful. Stop trying so hard to be liked. Stop making yourself easy to reach. Machiavelli's method was simple: appear less, demand more, and the world will treat you like a prize instead of a tool. If you are always available, you are worth nothing. If you are scarce, you become untouchable. That is when people begin to fear losing you. Scarcity doesn't just protect your value. When used correctly, it creates an aura, a presence that makes people careful around you. They start to fear losing your approval. They see every move you make as meaningful, even if it's not. You stop being just a person. You become a force. And this aura changes how people behave. When they can't easily reach you, they don't take you for granted. When they can't predict you, they obsess over you. When they can't control you, they start to respect you, even fear you. This aura isn't magic, it's psychology. Machiavelli saw it in the courts of the Renaissance. The ruler who appeared rarely became the center of all attention. Nobles whispered, gossiped, and competed just for the chance to be near him. The prince didn't have to work hard. His scarcity did the work for him. You can do the same today. It takes discipline, not arrogance. Never explain why you are unavailable. Never explain your silence. Let people wonder. Let them talk. Let them chase. If they are unsure of where they stand with you, they will work harder to win your approval. But Machiavelli also warned, this kind of power can turn against you. Scarcity can make you lazy. You may start to believe your own myth that being rare alone makes you untouchable. But power built only on appearances still needs real strength behind it. If you are scarce but weak, people will eventually see through you. But if you are scarce and strong, your reputation becomes unshakable. The goal is balance. Be seen enough so people don't forget you, but rare enough that they crave your presence. Be approachable enough so you're not hated, but distant enough so you're not treated as ordinary. This tension, not too close, not too far, is where real authority lives. Those who master scarcity don't just hold power, they radiate it. When they walk into a room, everyone feels it. People have been waiting, and the absence already gave weight to their presence. They are not just respected, they are feared. People are irrational about value. They don't judge things by what they really are, but by how hard they are to get. Machiavelli saw this flaw in human nature and used it as a weapon. He said clearly, men value lightly what they can get easily. If you want people to see you as valuable, you must first become rare. Why do people worship gold? Not because it was always useful. Its uses were discovered long after. They worship it because it was scarce. Do the same with yourself. When you are too available, your value drops. When you limit yourself, when you ration your presence like a king who only opens his gates for the chosen few, people start to see you as priceless. Scarcity creates tension. When people can't reach you on demand, they wonder where you are, who you are meeting, and what you are planning. Their imagination multiplies your power. The less they see, the more they assume. A ruler who hides his movements looks all-powerful. A man who doesn't answer every call looks busy, important, untouchable. Modern life teaches the opposite. that you should always be connected, always responsive, always available. But constant availability makes you predictable, and predictability kills power. When people can map out your every move, they stop fearing you. You become useful, but ordinary like water flowing down the street. Machiavelli studied rulers who used absence as a weapon. They disappeared for weeks, making nobles nervous. They delayed their decisions, forcing their people to beg for action. They limited access so tightly that every meeting became a rare privilege. Even those who hated them feared being left out. Scarcity breeds desire, but even more importantly, it breeds dependence. Look at your own life. The coworker who is always free for lunch is ignored. The friend who always says yes is taken for granted. The lover who is always available loses mystery and attraction. Human nature is cruel. We do not respect what we can get too easily. But when someone is difficult to reach, we assume they must be valuable. That is the psychology of scarcity. People chase what pulls away, and they ignore what comes too close. Show them everything, and they get bored. Hide yourself, and they stay awake at night, thinking about you. Machiavelli's lesson is harsh but simple. To look powerful, you must become scarce. Not by vanishing completely, but by appearing on your own terms, like a ruler walking into his throne room. If people expect you to always answer, you are a servant. If they wait for your word, you are a master. Scarcity is not weakness. It is controlled silence that forces others to make the first move. When you do speak, your words have weight. When you do appear, every look, every gesture feels important. This is how leaders and cunning men throughout history made themselves seem larger than life. They refused to be common. Scarcity is not an accident. It is a weapon. Machiavelli's genius was in turning human weakness into strategy. He knew that people always overvalue what is rare. So he taught rulers to control their presence like a miser controls his gold, not by hiding forever, but by appearing rarely and intentionally. So every appearance mattered. His method was clear. Withdraw from the crowd, control access to yourself, appear selectively. Let absence create tension, and use scarcity to control perception. In the courts of the past, rulers did this masterfully. Ambassadors would wait weeks for a single meeting. That delay itself showed who was in control. The message was simple: I decide when you see me, not you. You can use this same principle today. In business, be the one whose time is valuable. In relationships, be the one who is pursued, not the one who begs. In every part of life, let your absence speak for you. Scarcity forces others to play by your rules. They compete for your time, and when they finally get it, it feels precious. Scarcity makes people chase you. And the more they chase, the more they invest. And the more they invest, the more they fear losing you. That is Machiavelli's deeper lesson. Scarcity doesn't just raise your value, it ties people to you. They will protect you, obey you, even worship you, because they cannot stand the thought of losing your presence. If scarcity makes you powerful, constant availability makes you weak. Nothing destroys respect faster than being easy to reach, easy to predict, easy to use. Familiarity kills authority. The more people see you, the less they fear you. The more they can reach you, the less they respect you. Availability makes you their equal, and equality kills power. A prince who mingles too freely is no longer a prince. A commander who is always among his soldiers is no longer feared as a leader. A man who always picks up the phone trains others to believe his time belongs to them. He becomes routine, background noise, not a figure of authority. Rulers of the past knew this. They lived behind walls. They appeared rarely, and only when they chose. People had to beg for an audience, and sometimes wait weeks. This was not arrogance, it was strategy. By limiting access, they increased their own value. Contrast that with the man who is always there. His words mean nothing. His absence is unnoticed, and even his kindness becomes worthless because it is expected, not earned. When you make yourself too available, people exploit you. They take your time, your energy, your loyalty, and give nothing back. Worse, they start to see your flaws. Too much exposure removes mystery. Scarcity hides your weaknesses and lets you show only the image you want. A leader who appears rarely controls how others see him. A leader who is always around loses control of his image. This rule applies everywhere. In business, the entrepreneur who attends every meeting looks like an employee. The executive who answers every email instantly looks like he has nothing better to do. In relationships, the person who is always available is taken for granted, while the one who is harder to reach is pursued. In every human interaction, what is abundant is ignored, and what is rare is desired. Machiavelli was ruthless, but right. He told rulers to control not just their actions, but their visibility. Appear rarely, and you seem busier, more important, more dangerous. Withhold yourself, and you create a vacuum, and power always flows into a vacuum. People will fear being excluded. They will fight for your approval. They will value your presence more than your absence. The world doesn't reward the desperate. It rewards the rare. Stop explaining your every move. Stop showing up everywhere. Stop giving your presence to people who haven't earned it. Make yourself the one others chase, the one they can't easily reach, the one they whisper about when you're gone. That is the Machiavellian art of scarcity. Appear less, demand more, and watch your value rise until people no longer just respect you. They fear losing you. We began with a simple truth. People don't value abundance. They value what is rare. Scarcity is the invisible hand that pulls at our emotions, decisions, and even our deepest desires. And Machiavelli knew it was one of the sharpest weapons in the arsenal of power. Now that you've walked through this journey, you can see it everywhere. In relationships, where availability kills desire and distance ignites passion. In politics, where leaders withhold their presence to appear untouchable. In markets, where companies manufacture shortages just to make you chase what they could easily produce in abundance. But here's the danger. Scarcity is not just a tool of others. It can also destroy you if you don't master it. Think about how many times you've undervalued yourself by being too available, too giving, too present. Think about how many times you've chased what was rare, not because it was valuable, but because it was withheld from you. Scarcity is a mirror. It reveals not only how power manipulates the crowd, but also how your own psychology tricks you into desiring things that may not even be good for you. So what do you do with this knowledge? You learn to control it. You ration your presence, your time, your words, your attention. You stop flooding the world with your energy and start creating distance, space, and rarity. You start recognizing when scarcity is being used against you, when your emotions are being hijacked by clever strategies. Machiavelli's lesson is simple but ruthless. If you want respect, don't give yourself away cheaply. If you want power, don't make yourself common. If you want influence, understand that people don't desire what they can always have. They desire what they might lose. But let's make this personal. Right now, think about the areas of your life where you are overgiving. Where are you allowing others to drink endlessly from your cup without ever stopping to appreciate its worth? Where are you being treated as common because you have not dared to make yourself rare? Scarcity is not about arrogance. It is not about cruelty. It is about balance. It is about reminding the world and yourself that your time, your presence, your energy, these things are not infinite. And that makes them priceless. So take this lesson and apply it, not tomorrow, Not next year. Today. With every interaction, ask yourself, am I devaluing myself by being too available? Or am I using the dangerous power of scarcity to increase my worth? The rulers of the past understood this. The brands of today exploit this. And now you know it too. The question is, will you ignore it? Or will you use it? Because at the end of the day, the dangerous power of scarcity is not in the hands of others. It is in your hands. The moment you learn to control it, you stop chasing and start being chased. You stop being common and start being rare. You stop being overlooked and start being remembered. That is the Machiavellian way. That is the lesson of scarcity. And that, if you dare to use it, is the path to power. God, thank you for staying with me through this exploration. If this video challenged your perspective, if it made you reflect on your own value and the hidden forces shaping your decisions, then stay connected. Because here, we don't just talk about power, we uncover the hidden mechanics behind it. Next time, guard your presence, protect your worth, and remember, abundance is noise, but scarcity is power.